In today's journey, we address some of the allegations that our last wine was not lazy enough. Just please keep in mind that fast, good, and cheap are often mutually exclusive. We start with the hardest part. We have a sanitized jar that can hold over a gallon. Feel free to skip that step if you don't mind your wine tasting sour and infected. Don't skip it. Step 2, put in half a gallon of white grape juice. You don't have to use Meyer brand, but it does need to be free of stabilizers like potassium metabisulfite. In fact, you don't have to use white grape juice. You could use any kind of juice, as long as it doesn't have a preservative. Step 3, add any kind of flavor you'd like. Now, we got a lot of heat last time for using frozen because we had to spend more money to buy it. We had to cut a hole in the bag and we had to squeeze it out. So today we're going to use frozen fruit concentrate. We have apple today because all wine tastes like apple to a degree. You could use any flavor, again, as long as it doesn't have any preservatives, as preservatives will inhibit yeast growth. And since yeast is what's going to make the alcohol, we probably want it to not be inhibited. But so long as it has a fruit flavor and it's concentrated, it'll work great here because the extra sugars will help boost the flavor. And this is something my fellow idiots on the internet seem to forget, is that things like soda pop taste like soda pop because of the sugar. So once the sugar's gone, you're going to lose a lot of the flavor. So we're going to just add in a little extra. This is also going to go a long way in helping us maintain a body to the wine so that it won't be thin like a dry wine. But another tip if you want your flavor to pop is to not get rid of all of the body, which is also comes from sugar in this case. So we're going to want to do something to prevent all the sugar from being fermented. And since back sweetening and stabilizing, that's all work. And that defeats the purpose of this wine today, doesn't it? So we're going to use science and math instead to outthink work and be lazy. In fact, some people may have already posted hate comments about what my plan is in the comment section below. And if your theory is that I'm going to add enough corn syrup that there'll be sugar left over from fermentation no matter how efficient the yeast is, then you're right. And in the spirit of being a home brewer, having fun with experimenting with fermentation, we're not going to measure. And it's going to be fine. We are going to mix, though. We're going to mix and aerate. It's battery powered, so it's at least easy to use. Just like our affiliate links down in the description. And we did lie. We did actually measure. It's 6 ounces total that we did use. We got the original gravity up to 1085. We only measured because we figured someone would ask at some point. But you'll see at the end that it doesn't really matter because we have a secret extra tip that's going to make it extra lazy. It's great. You're going to love it, and it's extremely German. And if they only know half as much about wine as they know about beer, then it's probably a good plan. Probably. But as long as you don't add too much sugar to the point that you kill off your yeast, you're going to be fine. Which you'd have to probably add about a pound of corn syrup at this point. Probably. Like, it's not exact math. You need to know how much sugar is in your juice and in your concentrate exactly. But this is lazy. Take it easy. Start with a little. Add on to it. And with the secret technique we're doing later, you can actually even add more sugar later on if you need to. Just like we're doing right now. Because we're actually using a tilt hydrometer and we got the reading in and it was a bit low for us. So we added some more in and then did some more aggressive stirring so that we could get as much aeration as possible. As despite what some other brew tubers will have you believe, oxygen is good for yeast. But also this isn't beer and there are no hops. So we don't have to worry about things like that. Just keep in mind that the most important thing we do today is to not get worked up about anything, because we're lazy. And I'm saying to myself right now, Phil, why didn't you just add the other white grape juice at the beginning? And the answer to that is because it's easier, therefore lazier, to add it later. This means that we can stir a smaller volume with less chance of spilling. Didn't have to think about overflowing before. Now, when I go in with the little stir wand thingamabobber, I have to worry about aggressively stirring it and making a mess. And if I make a mess, I'll have to clean it up. And that is more work. Now let's see, is he going to do it? Is he going to make a mess? And the answer is no, because he knows what he's doing, because he's not an idiot. Well, he's an idiot, but he knows what he's doing. And sometimes that's worse. And what would be better than bad but good would be if you were to check out some of Phil's art, and that would go a long way to help support us. It helps us make stupid videos like this. Just go down the description, click that link, buy some of the photos on varying different types of materials, metal, canvas, custom sizes available, and we'll ship directly to your door. Now back to our regularly scheduled fermentation. And in the theme of keeping things lazy, we're going to be using a Brewy pack. This includes yeast and nutrients, meaning we don't have to think about either. You could get better results by using an actual wine yeast and nutrients, but it's lazy today. By adding this directly in, we don't need to do anything else. Just put the lid on, and you're basically ready to go. Technically you don't need an airlock, but we do highly recommend that you do use one for optimal performance. It all comes down to the level of effort you're willing to take, but now it's all about taking time. So here we are, this is the same day. The Brewy does recommend to shake up the whole thing from time to time, but we don't do it daily like they say. We just do it on the first day and a couple of the other ones. Their mindset is that if you keep the yeast roasted, it'll do a better job of continuously fermenting. But since yeast is a microscopic organism and floats, it's not really that necessary. But here we are, day 3. Figured we'd give it another shake, and you can really see fermentation has been vigorous, as we can see all the CO2 wanting to come out already. This is technically called degassing, but is normally done later in the process, but given our secret technique, it's best to get it done now. This is also not a wine master approved technique of degassing, but here you can see on day 4, we're starting to see the foam starting to form. It is what we would call in beer brewing a low kreuzen. And one of the most secondly asked questions in brewing is this normal? Oh my god, my brew is doing this. And it's fine. It's good. It's normal. It means it's working. Now here we are on day 6, and I feel like giving someone an aneurysm. Let's give it a good shake, and we can see the degassing is definitely going hard now. That is CO2 coming out of solution, like we just cracked a cold one, or probably more of a warm one. And any scientist knows that the colditude is directly related to the oneitude. And yes, this is completely fine. If it was a beer, it would not be. But since it is a wine, this is fine. Listen to the sound of my voice. Your wine is fine. When you hear the snap of my fingers, you will like, comment, and subscribe. Now don't worry, we're getting there. It's almost there. And in fact, for those of you with a little more experience, you can probably actually crack into this guy now. You don't need to wait any longer if you're in a hurry. However, patience is a virtue, and by waiting longer, we allow the yeast to do more work, making a better product. And since it's the yeast doing the work, I'm gonna allow it for the laziest wine. And in fact, I'm gonna wait until I'm ready for the wine. Why is it always when it's ready? Leave the fancy schedules to the people with the fancy titles like Brewmaster. We're gonna take it easy. But so long as your room temperature hasn't dipped too far below 75 degrees Fahrenheit, you should be good by day 10. We'll go a little longer just because we want to give it another stir up, make sure we got everything we're going to get out of this at about 8.5% alcohol right now. But let's see if we'll get a little more. By giving it that last shake up, we're going to make sure Phil has to actually wait a couple of days before he does anything more. And in fact, you know what? It's day 11 now. That's too even of an odd number. We're gonna have to wait a couple more days. And again, if you're making this prison style, it's good to go now. It's alcohol, you can drink it. But we're gonna wait a couple of days to make sure that we get any clarification or finishing touches done. So here we are on day 16. It's a little more brilliant, but because we haven't added any stabilizers or clarifiers, it's as good as it's gonna get now. And for the faint of heart, you should probably turn away now, as this is when things are going to hit the lowest of lows when it comes to the laziest, as it is time to serve. But how do we serve while doing the least amount of work possible? Well, that is stainless steel turkey baster. It's sanitized, of course, but we brewed the gallon of it. It's not going to take long to drink, and it's ready to go. What, like I was going to bottle this up? Sanitize bottles, corks, do the corker, siphon? Oh, do a secondary? Ew, that's work. Take a second drink instead. Remember, we're having fun making alcohol and having a hobby. And if you get worked up about this video, let's relax and have a drink. And focus on some tasting notes. It's fine. It's warm and a bit hot from the fusel alcohols from the aggressive fermentation. This style should also be served chilled, and I'm drinking it warm. The apple concentrate is coming through, but more as a compliment to the wine style than it is to actually tasting any cider flavor. And this could be done now, but the addition of some additional fruit flavors would have gone a long way. I would not want to add any frozen fruits to something like this, as that would require some more actual settlement and clarification to make sure you're not just eating chunks of fermented fruit, unless that's what you like. However, if you were to add frozen fruit at serving, that would be a good idea. That would add lots of fresh fruit flavor and be an extremely cheap alcohol to serve at your party. And if you had the foresight to ferment inside of a vessel that had a spigot, you could actually just serve at your party straight from the fermenter. Now we're going to just throw this guy into the fridge for now. We have the party later tonight, but you could make this better by adding some clarifying agents, extra fruit, stabilize it, and let it age a little longer. But today was all about being as lazy as possible. And for those that stayed to the end, the German version is called Federweizen, which is a partially fermented wine. And if the Germans do it, then clearly what I've done today is completely fine and normal. And if you liked what we did, please watch some of our other videos or support us any other way you can. Thank you so much, and always remember, happy brewing.